Hi there guys and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Coachman VIP 460. These are a basic walkthrough on how to set up and operate the caravan as if you were coming on our offside. So starting off first, you have your black hitch head here with black lever, which you have to have pulled up like so to then be able to wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar. It will then snap down that handle, push up that red button and expose a green ring. Occasionally that handle won't be able to stand up on its own. What you need to do is get a bit of WD-40 on them pins and work all as intended. You then have your breakaway cable just here. Legality states if you have an eye point it has to be used, if not wrap it around the tow bar. You then have your handbrake here to disengage, press down, and to engage, flick up. They can come up with a fair bit of force, so make sure your face isn't in the way. Then here we have 13 pin electric, so if you do have 7 pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter, as otherwise you may lose function of such controls such as AL-KO ATC. You then have your jockey wheel, which is used to level the caravan, and then 2 points either side and 2 points at the back. You have inserts for your legs. Now the caravan itself comes with a leg winder, or you can get yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Do not attempt to jack up or level the caravan using your legs. They're simply used for stabilisation. We're using test equipment today, so I have a red propane gas bottle just here. I'd always recommend propane over butane just because it has a better performance in winter. Connected onto that, we have a black gas hose. Now, black gas hoses run for 5 years. This one is dated 2025. That connects onto the top of this regulator just here. Hand tighten that as much as you physically can and then just nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight because that puts pressure on the O-ring that's inside the hose, causing it to crack, break and gas to leak. Opposing this, starting off first, we have your flue. Your flue is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when operating on gas. You don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. Then I've got an Acrol full of clean drinking water just here and your water pump. Now the water pump itself secures in using this cap. To remove it, press up on the cap and pull out the pump. Now you have this white cap to go over the top of the Acrol to ensure no nastiness gets in, and then at the bottom we have your strainer. It's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through. Next to that we have your leisure battery compartment. This example does have a leisure battery fitted, and on the top it's 2 terminals which you can either attach with a 12 or 13mm spanner, or if provided, a feed battery spanner that comes with it. You then have your plug-in for your mains just here, which plugs in nice and easy, and then you have a little hole to be able to feed through and lock up the compartment. You then have the motor mover here, which will be gone over on collection. You have 2 points where your wastewater is going to come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to then feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate site. And then lastly, we have your toilet function. So, first up, we have your cassette toilet. Now, to remove this, you press up on this handle at the back and you pull out towards yourself. Just to pause the video for a second there, because you do have to do a bit of jiggery pokery. Then this handle here, you can press in and it extends out, similar to a carry-on suitcase. And then what you want to do is twist this head, open it up like so, give it a tilt, and at the same time you want to press this vent button. Just continually press it in and just make sure you take out all the water. Now, as you can see, I've put in some fresh water. The main reason I do that is so that it doesn't honk out the gaff. Twist this head back on though, and twist it to the side. Now, if you do want to fill in some fresh water, you can open up this compartment just here and feed it in. Then above that, we have your flush tank. You open up this capacity here, and you get yourself something like a watering can to be able to remove and put in the actual water. You can also add some pink chemical which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes it smell nicer. Then you just got to press that in, twist it to the side and press down your cap. Now you also don't want to travel with either of these two full, so get the remaining water out of the flush tank by pressing in the button inside and then just tilt it out. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. And then just so you can see here as well, the cassette tool that cannot be removed without pressing in on that handle. Underneath your right hand side seat, you have all of these appliances just here. This here is your boiler. You can pull back this panel if you ever need to do any resets. You then have this yellow drain valve. As we are pulling through water today, it is going to be flicked down as it is now. When it is facing the upright position, that is in drain mode, and that is also how you will collect the caravan. November to March, have that up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, and anytime you come off site, give it a drain off, as water sloshing around the system can do damage to the internals, and water during the winter time can freeze the pipes and burst, which isn't covered by anybody's warranty as it's classified as user error. This here is your alarm system for the Sergeant alarm. This blue box mounted on the top is the brain box for the motor mover, and then you have this red key here. For the red key, this is the ignition point pretty much for the motor mover. You have to press that in and twist it to the side. You will have a demonstration on how the motor mover works on collection. And then lastly, you have your trips and fuses, all your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position. I'd always recommend to carry some extras across the caravan. Then above the door here, we have your main control panel. So you have your on and off switch just here. As you can see, master is on and mains is coming into the caravan. You can then cycle through this menu, so you have the time, you have settings, which you can press this enter button and it gives you display, sound, temperature unit, notification, the firmware that it's on, and then save and exit. If you want to go into any of them, you press it on the enter button. You then have the internal temperature. Now these may differ between them. They're currently the same at the moment, but they can differ. You then have the leisure battery voltage. As we're plugged into mains, that is not an accurate representation of the voltage itself. It is only a sort of indication. When you're not plugged into mains, that will show you the true charge. And then you're back to the time. You then have lights internal. And then you have awning light. Press that in. Awning light is on. Let's go to the outside and you can see that's on just there. So we'll turn that off for now. And then you have pump. So we'll press this button in, the tap icon, press in pump, and you'll hear the water come through. Now the water itself will pull through into the boiler. What it does, it will fill the boiler to the maximum potential that it can hold. And then any time that you open up the taps, it will then release the water, but also suck through the amount that's needed to refill it. So my recommendation is to let it sit for about 2 minutes and then come over to your taps and open it up on the hot and cold. But whilst we're waiting for that, I will show you your Alder control panel. So as you can see, this is the main menu. Main's plugged in, it's on the night mode setting, and the temperature inside is 13 degrees. Press in menu and you come to this screen. This top one is your internal temperature. You can either press and hold down, or you can individually tap to go up or down. Starts at 5 degrees and works its way up to a maximum of 30 degrees. Now, whatever you set it to, it will get to that temperature in around about an hour, dependent on the actual weather. If it's a nice sunny day, it shouldn't take as long as an hour, but it's an absolutely abysmal day, it might take a bit longer. You then have the water temperature. So it's currently off. You can have it midway, which will get the water temperature to about 40 or 50 degrees, or you can have it on full. Now what full is, it's a prioritizing boost. Now what that does, it will prioritize heating the water over heating the actual caravan for around 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes are done, it will then drop it back down to eco. That gets the water temperature to about 60. You then have your energy sources, so you can either use 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts of electric. Now do be aware that some sites do not have 3 kilowatt capacity. Or you can use gas, or you can use a mixture of gas of 1, 2 and 3. A sensible person would only use the mains when they're plugged into the mains, just so you're not wasting your gas. And then you have this cog button here, which is for your additional settings. Now I'm not going to run through this. However, if you'd like to have a look inside your book pack to see what they represent, please do so. But you've got some basic stuff like prioritizing, a couple of dual settings which aren't active because they're linked for motorhomes as well and additional things. And then you can press menu again. Now this panel will fade to green when it's not interacted with in a while. However, that light will stay continuously on. However, you can press that in, no heating on inside the van at all. Now, as you can see on the water, I'm getting a nice steady continuous stream. It may be a case when you first initially open it up, you get a couple of coughs and splutters. That is natural, that is the water making its way through its system. But if it continues to cough and splutter, go outside, check that the strainer is sat at the absolute bottom of the barrel. So you can test on both cold and hot. As you can see, because I've got no hot water in the system, it's just pushing through air. But you can open up on the cold on there, and then you can also check it on your taps. So you can come over, takes a second to get nice and steady, and then you can see it's going through there. So when you want the hot water, you have to have your Alder panel set up. Some people, what they'll do is they'll start from the back and then make their way forward, just so that they're going from the absolute furthest away position. And here we have your toilet operation. So pressing on the button, and you can see there it pushes through any water inside the system. Then to remove your waste, you have this handle just here, pull towards you, and that opens up the cassette. You then want to push back towards you, and then that shuts it up. You have to have it pushed in that position to be able to remove the actual cassette. And just to show you, when there's no water in the system, you'll hear that motor. That motor is what will push through any water inside the system itself. Then on the top, it tells you, it gives you an indication to say either fill up the tank, the amount that's inside the cassette, and if it needs to be emptied. Then here we have your hob, grill and oven operation. So all of this operates on gas minus the electric plate. For that, you spin it to whatever mark, you'll see the red light on there, and it will then get the temperature. Everything else you have to press in on the dial, twist it to the side, and press in the igniter just here. You then have a light button just here for inside the oven, and you have a fan setting just there as well. Now it may be a case that these will light up and then cut out. That is natural, that's the gas just making its way through its system. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all burners nice and lit there. It's the same concept as well. I'm just going to flick that up for your grill. As you can see, grill nice and lit both sides. And finally, your oven. Now for your oven, make sure that this tray isn't intruding. As you can see at the bottom, all nice and lit. Now the only thing to note is you need to have this glass sheet down when travelling, but don't put it down until all of these are nice and cold. And if you're travelling with a gas bottle, make sure it's turned off. Then here we have your fridge. So fridge is currently off, so no lights. Press and hold in on this button here. It will then flash up and go to its most recent memory, which in this case is gas on full capacity. You'll then see inside, and it will then be lit. Now, when you're set on gas, you may gradually hear it tick in. Then once it's finished ticking, that means it is then lit. You don't have to do anything yourself. It is all done automatically. The only thing I would say, check through all your hob, grill and oven first. Now switch over, we'll go to gas. Not gas, we'll go to mains. You then have that battery symbol. That is representative of 13-pin electric only. It is not representative of your Ledger battery. You then have this A button here, so I'll press that in, and that is auto. Now what that does, it will switch over to what the fridge thinks is the best source to use. Now just to show you what happens when I press this battery, it begins to flash up and beep. Then you have the amount of power, so it's currently on 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it's going to chill it the quickest. Even on full capacity, it does take around 4 hours to fully chill. And to turn it off, press and hold in, no more lights, completely off.